Yo, yo, here we go. I love you guys. Um, okay, Michelson. This is Michelson right here. After his Michelson Morley experiment proving the Earth is stationary, on top of the fact that Airy's failure also proves it, George Airy's failure also proves it. It goes on and on. This conclusion directly contradicts the explanation, which presupposes that the Earth moves. Physicist Albert Michelson. Michelson-Morley experiment. They got this null result, is what they call it, every time, which proves that nothing's moving through the ether. What they did here is they took a ray of light here and split it with the splitter and sent, these are the same distance. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, so we're back at this. They send this is what happens. They send a ray of light through a splitter. These are the same distances, and then they bounce back and come back to the, it rejoins the light. God, I forget all this. And then it sends it to the photographic plate here, or interferometer, whichever you're using, and it will measure the fringes, fringe shifts, or interference waves. This is the Michelson-Morley. And then they also did in 1913, same year they created the Federal Reserve fraud bank, private. Anyway, Sagnac's experiment. Sagnac carried out a simple experiment of passing light in opposite directions around a table and recombining them. This produced interference fringes. He then rotated the table at 2 revolutions per second and found that the fringes changed. This result has very significant implications in science. So yeah, this proves that there is an ether. No, we got actual measured were null results, which showed no rotation or movement. See what happens is here they have send the light, and oh yeah, it's a recombiner or whatever. It recombines the light and sends it to the photographic plate or interferometer. So later in 1905 and 1915, Einstein produced his relativity theories, which overcame the troublesome Michelson-Morley experiment by simply abolishing the evidence, the ether, the truth. Let's just throw out facts. Yeah, who cares? Okay, the whole theory is riddled with contradictions and problems. There's so many problems, which we will be examining. Before we do so, however, we will examine a fundamental contradiction in the theory which will arise several times in various subjects that we deal with. This is known as the clock or twins paradox. It totally destroys the whole basis on which the theory is founded. And this is the one where they got the 2 revolutions per second. They turn this thing. They send there's the light. There it is. This is a light source. It sends it out, and then it breaks it up in 2 different, you got the different colors so you know which to show the different lights, and then it recombines them to the interferometer to measure the fringe, interference fringe. Yeah, this is great. So what they do is they send the light out here, and it separates right here. Separates. And as the table's turning, if it's not turning, they come back equal. No problem. If it's turning, then it shows a difference. It shows an ether. Just like this here. This would be no ether, and the ether classical. You take both light sources, and you actually move the light sources with the movement of the light, and what you'll see is there is an ether. But Einstein had to throw it out to when they have an agenda, like they got to keep it this. And actually, Einstein even says that geocentric, heliocentric, or he even said that it's not heliocentric specifically. But this we're geocentric clearly, and we're stationary, not moving. Terra firma, it's in the name even. and then the ether that's proven as well. Whoops. How does the scientific establishment deal with this result? By muddying the waters with scientific gobbledygook. In the above discussion, the rotation mentioned is rotation with respect to an internal reference frame. Since this experiment does not involve relativistic velocity, the same wording is valid both in the context of classical electrodynamics and special relativity. Wait a second. How on earth can it be valid in both theories? It clearly proves that the ether exists because the speed of the light is controlled by the ether, independent of the rotating table and mirrors, etc. So this is what happens, okay? When they got an agenda, they got to push this heliocentric, fake, false agenda, okay? These sun worshippers, okay? They got to push this fake agenda. So no matter what you do, it doesn't matter, okay? So they're gonna fucking have some bullshit, nonsensical excuses no matter what, and they're going to teach it in colleges and indoctrinate the new idiots to regurgitate this. Like, I already got comments of idiots. Look, the whole point of this video is because it goes against your indoctrination in schools. Okay, so don't start regurgitating the lies. They teach evolution, moron, with no proof, and heliocentrism and gravity and all this nonsense, okay? And that we're spinning and they fly in an accident flying through space. So don't start regurgitating your nonsense. You get blocked, idiots. It's bullshit. That's the whole point of my videos, is that to tell you they're lying. Okay, we're not in the heliocentric. We're not sun worshippers. The satanic Luciferians are. These crazy bastard elites, Freemasons, goes way higher. Even higher than the Rothschilds, Vatican. So let's just keep going. So this is an airplane because it's on a flat plane. Ring laser or fiber optic gyroscope detects changes in the direction of the plane. Cannot work without an ether. And here's the experiment here with the plates, the mirrors, the light source, interferometer or photographic plates back then, interferometers now. This is Albert. I thought it was Michelson, but they all say Michelson. So I don't know. Everybody says Michelson, so that's what I'm going to just jump on that bandwagon, I guess. And then this is Morley. Their experiment had to do with proving that the Earth is stationary, just like Airy's failure did. And then Michelson and Gale proved the ether. In addition, I have received comments from 2 scientists complaining that they were never taught about the Sagnac experiment. Okay, this is again what I'm telling you, how they suppress all this information in your college indoctrinations. They hide it, suppress it, make up ridiculous excuses. They teach evolution. You came from an ape. Nothing's evolved ever from an ape to a human. You got millions of chimpanzees still there, millions of humans there, zero of everything in between. Zero. Absolutely zero. Okay? And then they're going to tell you, oh, well, what about all these birds and this and that? No, they just adapted to their environment. They didn't turn from a bird into a fucking reptile or whatever the fuck. Okay? Don't be retarded. Evolution is the most ridiculous nonsense ever, and they teach it with zero proof. It's unproven, zero evidence. Okay, so after 35 years as a professional physicist with a thesis in relativity, I only learned of Sagnac's experiment last year. How can this be? They suppressed them. Another correspondent complained that his professors never mentioned these important experiments. Dear Mr. Bowden, thank you for your enjoyable and well-written website. I've enjoyed visiting there today. I was especially interested in your comments on geocentricity, which, as noted, are controversial. The amazing thing is that none of the experiments cited were ever discussed in my undergraduate education, nor the implications cited. All my life I've heard the story of how Copernicus's theory came to prevail. Never did. I would have thought that major experimental evidence already in existence and calling the theory into question would have at least been cited. One feels cheated as a student, of course, to keep finding 25 years later these bodies of contrarian evidence that never are mentioned in the classroom, unless a student has already researched the topics and brings them up. Yet again, we have this suppression of scientific evidence, fact, truth, that supports creation and geocentricity, not an accident. Clearly, the golden mean ratio proves that this is not an accident right off the bat. Oh yeah, and here's Airy's failure. George Airy. Ground not moving, sky not moving, comes straight down. He found out that he thought, well, gee, something's moving here, so he had to tilt it 5 degrees. Which is it? He assumed, like an ass, that it was the ground and not the sky. But when you use water in the telescope to slow down the light, you realize that you don't have to tilt it any more further. It's the sky moving. It's the firmament. It's the sidereal day or rotation. It's the whole firmament moves 23 hours and 56 minutes a day. The sun rotates above us 24 hours a day, and the moon 24 hours and 50 minutes. These are all your differentials. No tilting, all this stuff. This is how you get all your astrology and everything right there, like that, with those differentials right there. This is George Airy's. George Airy, Airy's failure. He went out to prove the Earth was moving. He proved that the firmament was moving above. And again, we can prove right now that heliocentricity is absolute batshit crazy nonsense. All you have to do is come here in January, and then in 6 months later, you should see different stars. You're facing different stars. You're over here looking at Leo, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Anyway, you should be looking at different, like Aquarius or different stars. The fact that you don't, how unscientific of science to discard results because they don't fit with the model they want. Einstein was a fraud. The heliocentric model is physically impossible. Einstein knew this and was created purely for this reason. We cannot be rotating around a light source, as you've just seen day and night would flip every 6 months. This has to flip. The fact that you see the same stars here as you do here, you should see different stars here. You don't. You absolutely don't. It should flip every 6 months. It's very simple. Sidereal days can't account for or make up for the flip, nor can a supposed tilt. As we've seen, Earth is not and never has been moving and cannot be orbiting a light. This by default means the sun moves above us. Flat Earth wins. Thank you for watching by Flatwater. Credit to Malcolm Bowden, George Airy, Michelson and Morley, even Einstein, Sagnac, Mr. Thrive, and Survive. And this is a constructive interference, going exactly with the other one, and then this one is a cancellation, destructive interference. Fringe, shift, or result. Air, oil, water, and then you send it out, it splits, it comes back, and that's where you get your fringe shift. These are the new, these are the more advanced, up-to-dated interferometers and so forth. And the colleges have made up the most ridiculous nonsense to trick out the new kids coming up, and then they just believe them and think, oh, these were cavemen back then. They always assume that everybody's smarter now when the ancients were superior to us in every way. So what strikes you as being some thoughts that people would have if, in the short space of a few weeks, the universally held conviction that the Earth rotates on an axis daily and orbits the Sun annually were exposed as an unscientific deception? Keep in mind that a rotating, orbiting Earth is not counted as a mere hypothesis or even a theory anywhere in the world today. Oh no, rather, this concept is an unquestioned truth, an established fact in all books and other media everywhere, church media included. Copernicanism, in short, is a concept that is protected in a bunker under a 50-foot thick ceiling of solid scientific concrete. It's meant to be impregnable. It's a concept that's become ensconced in men's minds as the